spend all summer and you work yourself up into believing this is going to be the summer. We're going to bring her home. We're working hard. We're working hard.
Tonight, the family of Jennifer Catcheway, with the help of the Manitoba Metis Federation, offer a $20,000 reward for tips leading to her whereabouts.
We have one paramedic in here, and so that immediately reduces the amount of people we can see in the building. But then on top of that, we have COVID.
The Prairie Harm Reduction Safe Consumption Site opens in Saskatoon.
There's not enough Indigenous counselors here, and there's too many non-Indigenous people counseling Indigenous people.
And a first of its kind, Northern Indigenous Counseling Training Program starts in Yellowknife. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. It's been 12 years since Jennifer Catcheway went missing in Manitoba. The family spends every summer searching for the First Nations woman who disappeared without a trace. They're now getting a helping hand from the Manitoba Metis Federation. Brittany Hobson has that story.
Jennifer didn't just disappear. Somebody took her. Somebody stole her from us. All I want is to bring her home.
A mother's impassioned plea. Bernice Catchaway is used to being in front of the cameras. She's been doing it nearly every year for the past 12 years, hoping someone will see and help bring her daughter home. Jennifer Catchaway went missing on June 19, 2008, the day of her 18th birthday.
And that was just the beginning. 12 years ago, that's the beginning of our journey, a nightmare. It's been a nightmare because of so many misleading tips that we've been given, and we have to follow every tip, everything you hear.
The Catchaways have had a long-standing $10,000 reward for tips leading to Jennifer's whereabouts. Now, the Manitoba Metis Federation is adding to that by matching the dollar amount.
We felt upon ourselves as a government we have to do our part to help out in any way we can. So we're not only assisting with the $10,000 reward, we're also assisting with the cost of covering all the new posters, the travel. They're going to be traveling all over to put up the posters. And
MMF President David Chartrand says even though Jennifer was not Métis, the Federation wanted to offer its support. The Catchaway family spends every summer searching for Jennifer.
The worst part is coming home, for me, is coming home empty-handed. Because you spend all summer and you work yourself up into believing this is going to be the summer. We're going to bring her home. We're working hard. We're working hard. And, you know, and to come home empty-handed is so hard.
Chartrand hopes adding to the reward will result in some new tips for the family.
So somebody out there has got to have compassion. Somebody knows. Somebody knows something. And all it's going to take is that one hint, and they don't never have to reveal their name. That's as far as the family is willing to go.
Jennifer would have turned 30 this year. And while the date is a somber one, the family chooses to celebrate it just as they would have in 2008, with a barbecue and cake.
I'm blessed to have her 18 years. I would have loved to have her more. But those years that I do cherish, having her 18 years.
Anyone with information is asked to contact Manitoba Crime Stoppers. Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We've been following the story of the Enoch Hunter Iqaluit, who was wrongly detained at gunpoint by Nunavut RCMP. Now we have a video from the scene. When Iqaluit's Deputy Mayor Janet Brewster went to find out why the RCMP were pointing rifles at her son, she was recording the conversation with the officers on site. The officers were looking for a man wearing camouflage with a rifle, a common description in Iqaluit. Here's some of her conversation with the arresting officer. The rest is available at aptnnews.ca.
What are you doing to my son?
Just stay there.
He's going hunting. What are you doing?
I have to take this matter seriously because I was told that your son, who matches the exact description...
By name?
No. So I've only been given a description which he matches exactly.
We'd like to hear what you think about what you heard there. Here's how to continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. Find us online at aptnnews.ca and on youtube.com/aptnnews. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest Indigenous news. In Nova Scotia, Treaty Day was celebrated by the water. Community members planned the event to show support for Sabaganagati Moderate Livelihood Fleet. Angel Moore brings us more.
Here at Sauniaville Wharf, about 200 people showed up to celebrate the 1752 Peace and Friendship Treaty, which was upheld by the Supreme Court of Canada in 1999, that the Mi'kmaq have the right to hunt, fish to earn a moderate livelihood. Sabaganagati First Nation launched their own moderate livelihood fishery 2 weeks ago. Chief Mike Sack is in discussions with Canada.
We have a lot of people here, kids, adults, elders, everyone is here for the same collective treaty, to assert our treaty right, and it just couldn't get any better. You know, we're very kind people. We celebrate versus fight, so we just want to make it known that we're here to assert our right. We're not here to negotiate any treaty right.
Also in Cape Breton, the Mi'kmaq community of Bolidec was the latest to launch its own moderate livelihood fishery. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Sauniaville Wharf.
Thanks, Angel. And meanwhile, boats from Bolidec First Nation headed out on the water this afternoon. Chief Wilbert Marshall handed out licenses, and the boats from his community hit the water in St. Mary's Bay. There were no violent confrontations or anger from non-Mi'kmaq fishers like in Sabaganagati last week. Bolidec member Michael Bass says he's exercising his right to catch lobsters year-round, thanks to the Treaty of 1752 and the Supreme Court's Marshall decision.
It means a lot because we're self-governing ourselves. We're practicing our treaty rights.
The Carrier-Seekonee Tribal Council in northern BC is calling for transparency on the Department of Fisheries and Oceans for the fish farm transition plan. This week, DFO determined fish farms pose little risk to the Fraser River salmon migration, but 7 First Nations that rely on that migration route disagree. In a media release, Carrier-Seekonee is showing support for nations fighting fish farms. DFO was supposed to decide by September 30th whether to allow the fish farms near Vancouver Island to continue operating or remove them. They now say they'll be holding more consultations and will decide at the end of the year. With the Carrier-Seekonee say the sea lice pose a risk to migrating salmon, and they haven't seen any serious consultations yet.
DFO to be more forthright with their information and more transparent in the process that they're doing. They say they want to work collaboratively, and we aren't seeing it in action.
Time for a quick break, but first a look at what's still to come.
Online learning because of COVID-19 cannot put a damper on the launch of a new and highly anticipated Indigenous counseling certification program north of 60. That story coming up on APTN National News.
Here's a look at Friday's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, showers in 19 in St. John's, 23 and partly cloudy in Halifax. Looks like snow for Nain with a high of +5, 1 in Kuujjuaq. 13 with showers in Montreal, 6 and a chance of snow in Chibougamau. 13 with rain for Toronto, showers in 10 in Ottawa. 7 in Thunder Bay, 5 for Sioux Lookout. +3 with a chance of snow in Churchill, 4 with rain in God's Lake. 8 in Winnipeg, 11 for Dauphin. 16 in Saskatoon and North Battleford. 11 in Meadow Lake, 9 with rain in La Ronge. Welcome back. A First Nation in BC reopened its school, and they found a unique way to teach their children about where they come from and to keep them safe. Tina House has that story.
When you hit it, it breaks and goes into your skin. You can touch it. It's going to sting you a bit. That's why they're called stinging nettles. but it's healthy for you.
Here on the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, class is in session as over 50 students of all ages learn about traditional medicines and are growing food in a small garden they planted. Chief Leah George says this never would have happened if it wasn't for COVID-19.
This is so amazing. It's giving our children the opportunity to connect with the land, connect with each other, to be in the community, to be safe from the threat of COVID-19. It's amazing. And when our parents saw the rollout for our public schools, they decided, okay, what else can we do? And they talked to community development, Angela George, and they made it all happen.
With many of the students wearing orange shirts to honor children that went to residential school, this new outdoor school offers enough space to keep social distance whenever possible as they get their exercise and get in some playtime. Today is the first school assembly, and Gabriel George offers a welcome and words of encouragement to the kids.
In our story of creation, our first teachers were the animals, the little birds, the bears, the cedar tree, the creeks, the rivers, the mountains and lakes. They all taught our first ancestor, and we can't forget that.
And this group of kids are off heading into the woods, where they will learn about science and social studies. Surrounded by nature, some might say it's the ideal classroom to also learn about where they come from.
It's a profound, very profound thing that we're doing. I feel honored and really excited. I feel like this is something that's going to have such an empowering effect on our families. You know, my late father-in-law, Leonard George, had a vision for a center of excellence, and this is it. This is what we're working towards. This is what we're building.
Tina House, APTN National News, North Vancouver.
After months of preparation, the first safe consumption site in Saskatchewan opened its doors today. Priscilla Wolf has that story.
After many struggles, including not getting provincial funding, the Prairie Harm Reduction Safe Consumption Site opened its doors this morning in Saskatoon's core neighborhood. Executive Director Jason Mercredi says between not getting the provincial funding they were depending on and the COVID-19 pandemic, he's grateful that they made it to opening day.
We didn't receive our provincial funding, and so we have one paramedic in here, and so that immediately reduces the amount of people we can see in the building. But then on top of that, we have COVID, and so we are seeing people every second booth. And so we're maintaining social distancing. We're having mandatory mask policy, mandatory hand washing.
Overdoses have risen since the pandemic started, according to Saskatchewan's coroner's service. There were 230 suspected and confirmed overdose deaths in the first 8 months of 2020. The facility has a smoking room and 7 booths and can accommodate about 70 people a day. It's open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. The hope was to have it open 24 hours a day, but due to a lack of funding, it's not possible at this time.
We put in for provincial funding to get $1.3 million. That was for a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation. We all know drug use isn't a 9-to-5 habit. We were denied provincial funding, and so as a result, we had to fundraise, and so we've done an online clothing store. We're running crowdfunding campaigns.
Another big part, besides fundraising, that allowed Prairie Harm Reduction to open its doors is community partnerships.
Partnerships have been huge for us. We couldn't do this alone. This is definitely a team effort. We have, for instance, today, our opening day, we have the Westside Community Clinic. They're having a mental health nurse come in the morning, and they come in twice a week. Saskatoon Sexual Health has a Hep C nurse coming in the afternoons. We have elder services available once a week. We have counseling services available once a week, and they're all from outside partners. And then we have the Tribal Council next door with their addictions workers, but also the Needle Exchange.
The Saskatoon Tribal Council's Needle Exchange is the busiest needle exchange in Saskatchewan. So with the safe injection site now up and running, for people with drug addictions, it's not perfect, but it's a start. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Many post-secondary programs in the Northwest Territories are being offered virtually this year. And despite challenges adapting to online learning, there's great excitement for a new program being offered in Yellowknife. Charlotte Moore Jacobs takes us there.
It's important to start the school year in a good way.
Defeat the fire for the program. Want to bless them. Have a good year. Keep all the negativity behind.
19 students are gathering virtually for a feeding of the fire ceremony to officially kick off their studies with the first of its kind Northern Indigenous Counseling Training Program in Yellowknife.
Well, it was already super necessary because there's not enough Indigenous counselors here, and there's too many non-Indigenous people counseling Indigenous people, and they couldn't really understand what we've been through if they haven't been through it themselves.
Local leadership offered warm wishes.
And I think it's awesome and great that some of the Aboriginal students are taking part in this program, because I know it's hard for people to go out of the community to further their education.
The 6-semester program is in partnership with Rhodes Wellness College in Vancouver, where Cody, Roy, and Jean graduated and then began as facilitators. Local knowledge holders encourage students to look to Roy and Jean as examples of what can be accomplished when gaining counseling certification.
You're going to use your own strengths to go forward and make adjustments to make sure that whatever you develop, it's already, the people are already willing. They're looking for something.
Although delivering the program online is new for them, Cody says 2020 has illustrated the need for more training.
I think a lot of people are living in uncertainty more than ever. So counseling and emotional processing and emotional awareness. So I think right now more than ever counseling is needed up here.
The first semester will be online and focus on life coaching. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Delo.
A subcontractor working for Alberta-based EPCOR Utilities has fired an employee accused of harassing students and teachers during a smudging ceremony at an Edmonton junior high school. Chris Stewart has that story.
On September 25th, the Edith Rogers School was holding a smudging ceremony. A teacher later tweeted that during the ceremony, nearby construction workers began revving their engines and yelling racial insults at teachers and students. The workers were from Wilco Contractors. They are a subcontractor for Shearway Construction Group, who are working for Alberta-based EPCOR, who provide power and water service. EPCOR would not agree to speak to APTN, but they released a statement saying, in part, EPCOR does not condone racism or hate of any kind, and we thank the students and staff who brought this to our attention. Their actions to speak up against racism are commendable. It goes on to say, we sincerely apologize to the students and staff who were harmed by this disrespectful act. APTN spoke to the CEO of Wilco Contractors, Art Matt. He says one worker was fired, and if more evidence comes forward, there will be more dismissals. He also says all staff take racism and discrimination training before they are hired. Now, after this, more Indigenous cultural awareness will be done.
I'll apologize directly to the Indigenous community, to the school, the teachers, the students, the student parents. We certainly have made our apologies many times in the media, but again, we want to make sure that we're very much aware of our responsibilities in the community and ensure that this never happens again.
Matt says he has reached out to the school and Treaty 6 Grand Chief Billy Morin to move forward.
We would now like to engage with the Indigenous community to help with reparations and reconciliation. Apologies have been made in writing. We have not spoken yet with the Grand Chief, but certainly we look forward to speak with him and staff at the school.
EPCOR, contractor, Shearway Construction Group, and Wilco Contractors are making a combined $30,000 donation to a local Indigenous school.
The donation is to the the Amisquichy Academy. We're very happy to be able to participate in that. Maybe not happy is the right word, but we're very honored to be able to contribute to that in one way. We think it's a very valuable donation to the First Nations community.
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Time for another quick break, but first, here's the story we're working on.
I'm Tina House. I have a story about the United Way and Coast Capital Savings stepping up in a big way for kids that have aged out of care. That's coming up tomorrow on APTN National News.
Here's a look at the rest of your Friday weather forecast, picking back up in northern Alberta. Sunny and 19 in Grand Prairie, 10 with rain in Fort Chip. 21 under the sun in Medicine Hat, 19 and sunny for Edmonton. On the west coast, sunny and 22 in Victoria, sunny and 20 in Vancouver. 16 in Fort Nelson, 18 with showers for Prince George. 10 in Old Crow, rain and 14 in Whitehorse. 9 in Yellowknife, 15 and sunny for Norman Wells. 1 in Sax Harbor, 11 with rain for Pawlatuck. 3 in Baker Lake with snow, -1 in Cambridge Bay. -5 with snow in Resolute, -2 and snow in Igloolik. Welcome back. Next week, all our current affairs shows begin their new seasons, including Nation to Nation. Here now is host, producer Todd Lamarant.
While getting the Nation to Nation desk clean as a whistle for the new upcoming season, I remember the good old days when we had 3 MPs in studio sitting shoulder to shoulder.
Talking about the thugs are the anti-energy activists who have no connection to the Wet'suwet'en people.
Or 3 Métis presidents. Talk about that and give us an update. But of course, interviews became virtual, with the technical challenges that come along with it.
In northern Manitoba that has 1 water truck.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, are you there? Are you still there? Hello? Despite the pandemic, current events march on. Whether it's a dispute over lobster fishing on the East Coast, or land defenders in Ontario facing arrest. These incidents often have a political connection. And Nation to Nation is here to ask newsmakers and politicians to explain themselves. The COVID edition begins next Thursday on October 8th. I'm Todd Lamarand, and I'll see you then. Take that, you lousy virus.
That gets you pretty excited for the return to Nation, and as soon as this lockdown ends, we're flying Todd in here to wipe down this desk too. That's your APTN National News for this Thursday. For much more, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow.